Hey y'all, how's everybody doing? I hope everyone had a really good start to the new year. I can't think of a better idea other than to start off this video and share about what I have in my camera bag for 2026. Before I begin, I'd like to announce that moving on forward, I am going to have a topic related question into my future videos so that you, my fellow audience, can relate, can interact, share thoughts, opinions, build connections, and something that makes you want to say, oh, I can relate to that. Now, without further ado, let's get started. First off, this is my Low Pro Tactic 450 AW Mark II. This is my first ever camera bag that I've had for I think more than 2 years, probably 3 already. I like this bag very much. It's comfortable, the build quality. I like that it has a, what's it called? I can't even think straight right now, but yes, it has a laptop pocket where I can, take my laptop with me if I ever go out on travelings or take on trips. So that's always a must-have for me. And second thing I like most of the bag is, like any other bag, is the dividers. I have it pretty much set up to my, to my liking. I don't have a lot of equipment. Well, I guess I'd say is I don't carry a lot of equipment unless I really have to, depending on the type of shoot I'm doing. If I'm doing photos and videos, then I'll pack everything here. There's one feature here that I never used before, and it has it, which is this little rain cover, and I find this pretty cool actually. And well, you can't really see it, but it's right here, and basically it's a cover so that in the event that if I'm out in the rain, it just rains out of nowhere, then I have this to cover it like so. I don't know, it's a little hard to put on. Let's try this again. So as I was saying, this is a feature I've never used before, but it does come in handy in the events that if it does rain out of nowhere, I have this covered. And so I thought, cool, there it is, rain ready. Then when I take it out, it's pretty easy. Well, not really. it took me a bit, but there it is. All right, now to the exciting part. The cameras. For my photography camera, I am using the Sony A1 Mark II, and I've had this camera since November. This thing is amazing. The processor on here is just incredible, lightning fast, very responsive. I love the the ergonomics on here, as you can probably see around here where the shutter button is. It's just nice and smooth edge, whereas on the other cameras, they're just squared edged. I was gonna get the A9 Mark III, but I just couldn't justify downgrading to 24 megapixels, especially that I came from a Sony A7R5 that has 61 megapixels. I just couldn't, so I just went with with this one with 50 megapixels. It has the speed boost and the pre-capture modes, which I haven't really got to play with. At some point I will end up using them for the work that I'm doing. I'm excited to use this camera a lot more later on in the year. For videos, I am using the Sony FX3, which is actually the camera I'm using right now to record this video right now. I've had this camera for about, I think, what, three years, and this is pretty much the camera that does all of my video work, from car videos, YouTube videos. Sometimes I'll do vlogging on it, and just any work that I can pretty much comes to mind. Alright, so that wraps up the cameras. This is my DJI RS4 Pro gimbal. This is pretty much if I want to get some smooth transition shots, this is the one I'll use for mostly 100% of my car videos. So this is my go-to for car videos. And then of course I have the controls here for, you know, for suitcase mode. And yeah, so that's pretty much the next exciting part, lenses. First lens is the Sony 20mm f1.8G lens. It's a prime lens, ultra wide, compact, and very lightweight. I got this lenses because I was on a tight budget. I really wanted the 16 to 35mm f2.8G Master 2 lens, but it was definitely out of my pocket, way out of my budget. The third reason why I got this lens is because it's a Sony lens native to my Sony cameras, which means that I'm able to unlock other features within the cameras that I'm using. For instance, like breathing composition, and I'm able to shoot 30 frames per second. My second lens is the Sony 28 to 70mm f2G Master lens. It's heavy. It's a heavy lens. I gotta say it. For me, when it comes to using heavy lenses, actually, you know, I can work with it. You know, I just love how they feel. You know, the sturdiness. It's, you know, like it is humongous. But yeah, I did have the 24 to 70mm at one point, but I just went with the 28 to 70 recently because of the f2 aperture, which lets in another stop of light. You know, for me that likes to shoot at night, that does definitely, you know, come into play a lot. I mainly got this one because, you know, I shoot a lot of video with this one. I did have a 16 to 35, and I actually traded that one out with this one only because when it comes to videos, I'm not a fan of using a wide zoom lens. So whenever I'm shooting, you know, the vignetting around the distortion, and you have that stretch effect, which, you know, as you can see in one of the car videos I shot last year. So when you see the car getting out of the frame, and you see that distortion, kind of the vehicle stretching, and yeah, so I was like, I'm not a fan of it, so that's why, you know, I have this one instead. Last but certainly not least, my most favorite lens out of the three, which is the Sony 35mm f1.4G Master lens. My holy grail. I'll be honest, this is the camera that, I mean, scratch that, this is the lens that is always going to be stuck in my camera body. Oh no, it's just the perfect range. It's not, you know, not wide, not, you know, not shallow. It's just the right length. I mean, this is what, you know, this focal range is what you see from your eyes. If you're wondering why do I have such a big, you know, big lens cap on my lenses, well, the reason is because I'm using PolarPro's Helix Maglock filters. I have three of them, which is the VND 2 to 5 stop filter by McKinnon, and then I have the Burkard Polarizer, and then I have the Shortstache everyday filters. If you're wondering what the Helix Maglock is, it's basically a system that allows me to use all these Maglock filters in any of my lenses. However, you do have to require to get the base plates on each of your lenses. So what it does here is, you can see it's on there. So if I ever want to switch a lens, I can always, you know, take this one off. You know, I still have the Helix Maglock plate on here. Swap this lens out, and then there you go. The reason why I like this system, because it's quick. You know, in events that if I ever, you know, want to switch lens, I just switch them, and then go to the next lens, and you're done. Next up, compact cameras. First one up is the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. This is the one I use mainly for a lot of my POV videos. If I'm, you know, going out in the field shooting, this is the one I'll be using. What I like about it is, you know, the low light condition on it, especially if I'm shooting a lot of photos at night or videos also. This right here is my chest mount strap that I use for my POV videos. It just comes right here attached, and then of course you have my Osmo Action in here. Clip it in there. I didn't clip it right, but yeah, that's how it goes. Next up is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. This is the one I probably use a lot for vlogging. If I don't want to bring any of my gear or my camera, then this is probably the one to bring. If I feel like I want to vlog stuff about, you know, car content, or if I'm trying out new food, whatever, for fun, this is the one I'll bring. Next up are microphones, and first one I have is the DJI Mic 2. I really wish is that this clip would be a little bit more, how you say, a little bit more tighter, because one time I was filming, I was doing car rollers POV, and I clipped it, and it just eventually just slipped down and fell off. Maybe I should just use the magnet next time, or maybe next time I'll just clip it somewhere where it's gonna be secure. For all of my car videos and stuff, so this is what I use for now. The next mic is the Sennheiser MKE600, which is actually the one I'm using now to get the audio for this video. Most of the time I'll use that for like all of my handheld videos, you know, which is attached to my XLR handle with the FX3 attached. Next up is memory cards. What do I use? Well, I have a bunch of them. I have these SD. I use what you call SanDisk Extreme Pro SD cards. I mean, I use other ones like Lexar. Lexar's a pretty good one. You know, it just depends on, you know, what your budget is, and what type of card you're using. V60, V30, V90. So these are the ones I use, but I've been starting to use the CF Express Type A cards. Reason being is because of, well, for a number of reasons. First reason, it packs a lot of reading and writing capacity. They're a lot faster, the processor, and if for video, I'm able to unlock my camera's settings even more, like, you know, 422, 10-bit, 4K or 8K, 120 frames, and it allows me to, you know, just to play with color grading and post edits. Storage-wise, what I use, you know, to transfer all of my files is, again, the SanDisk Extreme Pro SSD solid state drives. I have two of these because I just recently, one of these have already filled up at full. It's already full, and then I am about to use the second one, you know, for this year. Yeah, each of them 4 terabytes. That's pretty staggering. I always gotta have a lot of memory to store files and transfer. One more thing, since I'm using CF Express A cards, I must now have a CF Express Type A reader. Very important. Unfortunately, you know, my laptop only has SD, so I gotta start using this little reader going forward. Great card. Always carry one of these, just because I want to white balance my videos, mostly for my videos, but it's always nice to have one of these. Every time before I start shooting a video, I always like to white balance my images. And then, of course, cables. Never go wrong with having a lot of cables, just in case one fails on you, then you have another one as a backup. Last but certainly not least, my MacBook Pro M4 Max 16-inch laptop. This thing is an absolute beast. I love this thing. This is where pretty much all of my work comes to life. All my video work, all my photography. I can't stress how much, you know, it's very important to have a laptop that runs all your systems, especially when you're transferring files of, you know, high capacity. It's just, you know, you gotta have something to be able to, you know, handle all your files and videos. So before I wrap up, I want to go back to the question of the video, which is, what piece of gear do you use the very least, and why do you think so? I feel like everybody has at least one piece of gear that we have and we've only used like maybe once or twice in forever, that's just sitting there collecting every single particle of dust. I'll answer that question. For me, it would have to be the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. Okay, so reason why I don't use this one very much at all. I'm gonna be real. When this came out, you know, everybody was, you know, hyping it up about it, and I was like, you know, and it got me curious. And you know what? I bought one, and you know what? I thought maybe I just join in the bandwagon and get one of these. And you know, after a bit, I didn't end up using it as much, but after playing with it and knowing how to set it up right, you know, I actually really like it. But no matter what, this is the one that just keeps coming back that I ever rarely use. I'm gonna drop the question, pin it down in the comments section below. All of the gear that I covered will be all listed in the description down below. Here we are, guys. That wraps up what is in my camera bag for 2026. I appreciate any of you guys that made it all the way to the video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, comment, like, share it, and I will see you guys on the next video. All right, deuces, guys.